Pleasure to be here with you guys this afternoon. There's not a single time, even after years of doing grassroots political action, that I don't take the stage and want to impress by the honor that I have to be here with you guys. I'll tell you a little more about my background because it has a great bearing on why I'm here today and why I do every day what I do and the kind of job that I'm blessed to have. As you said, I was born in Waco, Texas. I moved to Stephenville and I grew up there, the son of a Baptist preacher, a doctor, small town doctor, delivering babies and taking care of folks there in Stephenville. My mom homeschooled my two brothers and I. She was someone who made an incredible sacrifice to make sure that my brothers and I were given the opportunity and the education to pursue whatever our dreams were, and to go as far and work as hard as we could, as our hearts could imagine. As I spent my time there growing up, I very early was impressed by the idea of American exceptionalism. I started out there reciting the Declaration of Independence there on the 4th of July, spending time with the other homeschoolers and learning about what our Constitution and Declaration mean. Because that's where America started. That's the codification of so many of these founding principles that make us the great country we are today. So from there, I moved forward, and my first foray into politics when I was 10 years old. There's a lady named Becky Fair, who's a mentor of mine and a great friend of my parents, and she was one of her state house representatives. And I absolutely believe in Becky Fair. I still do today. But on that election in 1996, 10 years old, I gave everything I had to get her elected to state house. What happened on election night broke my heart. She lost by 12 votes. And at 12 votes, as a 10-year-old child, I don't know the story, but my dad tells me he came to my room that night, and I was crying on my bed. And he said, "Raz, why are you crying?" I said, "Well, Dad, we lost." And I was devastated. I'd spent hours and hours rollerblading around our community by myself and with my mom, telling folks they didn't vote for my friend Becky Fair for state house. And so as we talked about it that evening, he said, "Raz, what determines whether you'll be a winner or not, it's not whether you win every fight and go out for it, because you're not, whether it's an election, whether it's any kind of political battle, or just everyday life. That's not how winners are decided or chosen. What's going to determine whether you're a winner or not is whether the day after your defeat, you get back up and fight as hard or harder." And I appreciate that, I internalize that wisdom, and I try to live by it today. But what I told him next, I said, "Dad, I realize that, I understand it. But what hurts me is that each of us knew 13 people who didn't vote for Becky Fair. It was within our capability to change that election, to move that ticker just a little bit, and we could have changed the representation of our district and by the policy of the state of Texas. I knew 13 people. And even more than that, just the number, was that I knew that I hadn't done everything. If you'd have told me in the morning of that election day, "Raz, 13 votes will save Becky or Austin," I would have done whatever it took to find those 13 votes. There wasn't a single person on that campaign that wouldn't have. We would have done it. But the fact was that we had something left in the tank when it was all said and done. We left something on the table, and because we did not send Becky or Austin, and we did not get the representation we deserved. And so in every election cycle since then, since I was 10 years old through today, my goal has been that on election night, whichever election it is, whenever those polls close, I don't have an ounce left in the tank. And that's motivated me to be active in politics from 10 years old on through today, every election cycle, do whatever I could to do that, to help move the ball forward for conservative values and principles. So I went to Hillsdale College, and after graduation, I was given the great opportunity to come back here to Texas, straight back from Michigan, from the cold Arctic North, and to have the opportunity to get involved in helping influence the politics of my state, to help individual Tea Partiers and conservative activists become as educated and as effective as possible. Now, my organization, American Majority, was started just a few years ago, in January 2008, looking for kind of the advent of the Tea Party movement. And our goal from day one has been to outfit, equip, and train conservative candidates and activists from the state and local level. And in the last 4 years, we've trained nearly 20,000 activists in 44 states, over 550 events, and trained thousands of candidates to actually carry that ball. So we as the activists, we actually get to go help get these guys elected. The ultimate vote is theirs. We can kick them out if they vote wrong. We can bring new guys in. But at the end of the day, they're the guys punching the card and carry the ball for us. And so our hope is that we can help train and equip and move forward these conservative candidates, the kind that we really want to see. Because the truth is there's a lot of people out there running for office. And a lot of them aren't the kind of people we want to see in there. The kind of people that are going to take our nation in the wrong direction. It's the great part of why I feel so blessed to do my job is that every day I get to ask myself, what can I do for Liberty and how can I move that ball forward? Now, what we do as an organization is primarily focused on helping Tea Party and grassroots organizations. Any way that we can help you, I'll give you our website. It's americanmajority.org. And we have resources there from podcasts to presentations. And you can get my contact information there, or I'll share it with you later. But our goal whatever we can to strengthen the conservative movement here in Texas and in the country. And if I can help that, please let me do it. But I want to, in my last few minutes here, I want to give you a charge. I was talking with some of my friends that are in their mid-20s in the last couple of days, and asking them, as I was preparing for this meeting, I knew the average Tea Party demographic that most folks here would be a little bit older than I am. And I was asking them, what kinds of things would you like to say from our generation? My opportunity to kind of be a self-elected spokesman for my generation here today. I said, what would you like to say to those that have gone before and the people that are fighting on the front lines trying to give us a better country? And the nearly unanimous response was, they owe us something. They owe us something. And the reason is this. When I was born, I was $9,000 in debt. Not because of anything my parents have done, but it's because past generations, the generations that came before me, before I was ever born, mortgaged my future. And having $8,000 or nearly $9,000 in debt before I was out of my mother's womb. There was no choice in that for me. And I dedicated my life personally, politically, and professionally to helping make sure that my children, when they come into this world, are better off than I was, and have a better, more free country. And so what I would ask of each of you is realize that no matter how much work you've done, the generations that have come before me, and even my generation today, have been complicit in that mortgage. You guys help co-sign that. And the great thing is that most of y'all have been active in trying to push back that. There's a mortgage, and your name's on it. And our country has to fight to get out of it. The system we have works. We look at Washington and we see the problems, the bad politicians, the perverse incentives, the bills that get passed that are 2,000 pages long, and just tear apart our country, both as far as the individual relationships we have and the policies that they're supposed to be championing. We look at that and so many people say the system's broken and everything's wrong with it. But I'll tell you the biggest thing that's broken and the thing that is not working is each of us. It's the voter. It's not that the Constitution doesn't work anymore, because that thing's working pretty darn well if they just listen to it, if they follow exactly what it says. That'll work just fine. I love that kind of government. But it's because each of us doesn't maximize our impact, because we don't have enough educated voters, conservatives in this country. A poll came out just the other day saying that there's an all-time high number of Americans that self-identify as conservatives. 40%. That's the first time in decades, the first time in modern memory, that conservatives self-identified have outnumbered moderates or independents. And we have double the number of people that self-identify as liberal. So why are we winning? We outnumber 2-1. Why are we winning? The answer is we're not working hard enough. Now, the great thing about the group that you are here today is you guys aren't normal, right? You're not normal because you vote, you care. You're here on a Saturday afternoon. Listen to some 25-year-old talk about why he cares about politics. So you're not normal. Then my mom would say, y'all special. And I appreciate that. I'm glad we're special with you. Because our founding fathers felt the same way. They firmly believed that it took them doing something above and beyond the call of duty, above and beyond what their fellow colonialists were willing to do. Because it wasn't a majority of colonials that won our freedom or independence from one other country. It wasn't even a majority that strongly believed that freedom and separation from England was what we needed to do. It was a very small number. And so what they did, because of their passion, because of the belief that they had to do something, they stood up, they picked up guns, they went out and fought for our freedom. They codified those beautiful founding documents that protect our lives, works, and sacred honor that they pledged so that we don't have to. And we have to do moving forward is do the small things. It's maybe just talk to your neighbors. There were two topics for the last 50 years that folks were told you don't talk about at the dinner table, right? It was politics and religion. Have you ever heard that? Could it be that when we look at America, we see two areas where we're in very, very bad shape? Could it be that the reason behind that is we weren't even willing to talk with our family members, with the people around our dinner table? I believe it is. We have to stand up. We have to have those uncomfortable conversations where we're willing to go and talk to our friends and neighbors. Because if we're not even willing to talk to them about it, and share what we believe in our heart and soul, how can we hope to save this country? If we're just caught up in these yelling matches, or even very valid, meaningful, and needed protests, but we're not willing to talk to our friends, or our cousins, or our neighbors, then how can we take this country back? We have to do this every single day. We need to ask ourselves when we get up in the morning, what can I do to move the ball forward for liberty? If we're not doing our part. Maybe a small thing that you do. Maybe a Facebook status update or a Twitter update. Maybe talking to your friend or your grandma. But do something. Join me as we try to do that. Because if we don't, then you're not giving my generation or the generation to come in the future the gift that we deserve of liberty. And I will commit to you today, as I ask you to commit to me, that I will do everything I can. I dedicate my life to this process, personally, politically, professionally, to move this ball forward. Because it can only happen if we do it together and if we stand for this country. Thank you so much for your time.